Welcome to the Weekly Briightcap, a weekly recap of life at Briight with a ton of insight. I need to come clean about the format. The idea was I shoot this within half an hour and I edit within an hour. That's the limit, right? It took way longer because, and the lesson from last week was how we would build something differently when referring to the Right Conversation project. And it was the same with this. So it took a lot of time to build intro graphics and things around it. But it's because I wanted to build it in a way where it can be repeatable, like the identity of the brand, repeatable, but not exactly just cutting to the same title board. And the minimal editing has to stay, unless, I'm accidentally scratching my top lip and reaching up and, end up giving but the format's staying the same. So this week we shipped Beyond the Numbers Season 3 trailer. There's a specific reason why I wanted this on what we shipped this week, because it's related to Bright's values for 2026. One of our team principles is apes together strong.
Apes together strong!
And it's using the right people for their talents, and not being afraid to ask for feedback, and that open culture that leads to the best things in creativity. And there's a really good example at the start here, so I'll play this.
Welcome back to Beyond the Numbers. I'm Bev Wakefield, and this is the podcast where we break down the numbers in a way that actually makes sense and help you build a business that supports your life, not the other way around. With Season 3 on the horizon, we're diving deeper than ever, exploring stories you don't want to miss.
What's one line you say to yourself when things get tough?
Come on!
Nice, I like that. There'll be new guests.
Nikki Perfect, Gillian Sewell, Kavita Oberoi, OBE,
Matt Hay.
Anyone who's set up a business will know the mania that you go through, particularly in those early days.
One of my mentors said to me, look, have you ever thought about becoming a negotiator? Absolutely changed my life.
And then for somebody else to tell me I wasn't good enough. So after that interview, I thought, that's it, I'm never going to work for anybody else again.
Honest conversations that push boundaries. Back-to-back meetings were replaced with deep focus, clarity, visionary. You get instant results and immediate praise. But here's the trap. Stay tuned and get ready to go beyond the numbers.
And there we have it, really good. But it was the start in particular, and I'll bring it back to that I wanted to draw your attention to. So, firstly, well done, Ollie, for putting this together. Ollie started as an apprentice, he's qualified now, and he does some great content. And he's really taken ownership of Bev's podcast, does lots of the editing there, all the trailers for each episode and stuff. And they're really cool and effective. And we get, I go out networking and I get to hear the great stuff. So I do pass on the praise. Ollie, they love it. But at the start, so Ollie originally, when he set this up, he knew he wanted someone searching for it. Now, Jess came in and said, it doesn't really make sense that it's on Google. You wouldn't really go to Google and search for your podcasts. So it had to be on platform, which made total sense. And then I had the idea of which platforms, and I mocked up these in a way. So I had to build these, because if you actually go to all of the platforms, Spotify, what do we run through? Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Search bars always right at the top, but eyeline, we wanted it in the middle. That's where people are going to be watching in their feed and things like that. So had to customize this, but in a way where it makes sense. Wanted people to have that feeling. So depending where you watch your podcast, that feeling of familiarity with the platforms as well. That's in there. So I mocked all this up. I kept the cross-cut search section in the middle, enough difference, and then I had the idea of having Bev within the YouTube. We land there and then we move into it and it goes full screen. And then Dan looked in and he said, there's a great way of doing, I think it's chromatic aberration, Venetian blinds, just these After Effects touches, which makes it feel like you're watching something on a screen, on a monitor. And then Ollie ran with it and just implemented it. An hour later, from the review to the finish, we've got a really cool opening hook. Or what I learned is nothing new there, because, like I said, it's part of our principles and our values here. But it's a reminder of doing it. and a reminder of using the talents and, pulling those things together. A really good example of teamwork. Use your team, use your skills, and play to strengths. So what have we been working on, right? So I showed the feedback from last week. Now, that feedback was implemented properly, and we're trying to hit this deadline, which is tight because there's quite a few motion graphics elements built into the concept. But I think what this project particularly shows is it would have benefited from smoothing of process, right? So Dan got the cut together, but because Ben was on other things anyway, and I really wanted Ben to be the one to lead the graphic design and what comes on screen here, because he was on other things, that came late. So we had work in progresses on there and placeholder stuff, which I don't know. It just sort of pushed the deadline. It felt like we had stuff done when the deadline was a couple of days away, and it's like, no, we actually haven't done this. So process should have been, we sat down and identify what we need specifically on the graphic side. Then we can have a meeting around it. We can have inspiration, build mood boards, and just put it in place, almost like we do with an animation. And I think it would have been smoother. But doing that up front, actually, and this is what I really learned, is it allows space for evolution. And just making bold decisions on it, saying, yes, this is right, or early, this is definitely not on brand, or it's outside, or it's not different for a good enough reason. And that's what I learned. But on all of this, and I think it's important to do a debrief after a project and go through it with the team. Where did they get stuck? And then look at that process. How can we stop that happening in the future? The work looks great and you get to a great place, but the aim is to do that without the pressure and the stress. Now, before we move on, we managed to land a sponsor from the last episode, and we're going to go to our very first sponsor segment. Enjoy.
Have you been let down by bad video marketing in the past? Did you suffer an injury to your brand image that wasn't your fault? Was there no strategy in place? No plan to get your video in front of the right people? At Briight, we create video marketing campaigns that succeed. Strategy-led, great-looking videos that get more eyes on your business. And to put your mind at ease about how serious we are about business-to-business marketing, I'm wearing 3 suit jackets. People are going to know this is a parody, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Wow, I don't know about you, but that was a bloody good sponsor, and I would buy what they're selling, honestly. Moving on to what we're doing here at Briight. Now, last week we had a really productive meeting around where priorities lie for 2026, building on the successes of last year, and just making things a little bit smoother. Part of it is just, like I said, at the top of this is using that teamwork element and playing to people's strengths, but allowing them to do it without interrupting them constantly, because that's can happen when you're like, oh, can you just do this? Can you just do this? It's death to deadlines by 1,000 interruptions. But one element for our marketing is I really want to thinking about celebrating those wins, because it's only when you take stock and you look back that you're like, wow, we shipped some really good stuff, and I want to celebrate that more. One in particular was this project with Chug. It's pronounced Chug, not Chug, with the giant from TV's Gladiators. Now, it was a real cool project. It took a while to come about. Mike, the owner of Chug, had this crazy idea of doing almost an Easter egg of an unboxing idea. I love stuff like that, and I think for a brand it's such a cool touch. Now, I want to win some awards for this. This, in my opinion, is award-winning. Looks great. The concept's great and the execution's good. Better than good, it's great. And it's doing well, it's getting quite a few views, but it's that thing of, it's not outwardly facing marketing thing with ROI that you can, for an awards application, just put in, oh, it uplifted, sales by this much, because it's an after sales piece. So there's a few we're looking at, and it's trying to weigh up if it's worth entering, Because a lot of these, I want some prestige awards. I want D&AD, something industry, the drum, Creative Weekly, all those big ones. But it's got to be the right category. Now, there's a couple where it's best use of talent, and I think that could be cool. Anyway, I'll play you the start of the chug thing, because, yeah, if you happen to leave a comment, please do. It'd be good to get your feedback on it, because it's really cool. Jamie, who's the giant in Gladiators, he's really cool, but he hadn't done much like this. So it was a real, step into commercial directing of big talent, but new big talent, if you know what I mean. So it was quite a challenge. Let's play it.
So, got yourself a chug, have you? Good for you. Did you earn it? Did you? If you're still watching, welcome, worthy one. Let's make sure you don't treat your chug like a shoe. And instead, like a fine, freshly forged Viking sword. Or as fine as me. So, do you know what every unboxing experience needs? Rules and discipline. Chug, 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 chug. Do not, and I mean do not, submerge this beauty in water.
Yeah, hopefully you like that, because I'm really proud of it. And, the idea for Briight is we do more of that and really start pushing our creativity and that personality. And I think we should do a breakdown of that video, because I think it's really interesting. Just things like when he changes the chug to a shoe, people missed it. So we had to do things like add those little smoke dust effects to draw some attention to it so people could notice. And then just those touches, like he does his bicep poses and it goes to the silhouette and then the silhouette drops. I think it's so good, and we just need to do more of that within that stuff. That's the touches of genius that Briight should be known for, is known for, but we need to make sure it's in every single project. Okay, hope you enjoyed this week's Weekly Briightcap. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and drop comments. Do you want to see that chug breakdown? Hey, Future Rob here. Oh, he reminded you to like and subscribe. Never mind. And just to recap what we shipped, a great trailer for a podcast that really played to the team's strengths to get that visual flair in there and that opening hook that should really grab people's attention as they scroll through in their timeline. What we're working on, it's not just doing the graphics part, it's about evaluating the process here and making it better each time we do a project. And then what we're working on, we've got quite a few things bubbling away for Briight, but one of the areas is win some awards, enter some awards, celebrate with the team, give us a reason to keep shouting about these projects that we are so proud about. Great stuff. Well, all being well, I keep running a couple of days late, but all being well, I'll see you next week. And then what we're working on for Briight. F***ing hell. Come on, Rob.